Good evening and welcome to tonight's petition hearing, and warm welcome to those who are in the room. The live feed is now on, so all noises from the room will come out, and those obviously who are watching on the Council's YouTube channel. This is a petition hearing for the Communities and Environment Portfolio, and I'm Councillor Eddie Lavery, the Cabinet Member for Communities and Environment. It is one petition hearing, one item on tonight's list. I and officers we've all got laptops because we don't use printed agendas anymore, so therefore I've got that open to view matters as we progress. We're not expecting a fire drill, so if the fire alarm goes off, officers will lead us out. Can I please ask that mobile devices, particularly mobile phones and the like that have bleeps on them, are at least switched to silent. There's only one councillor present. You have no additional declarations to make, thank you. There are resident feedback forms somewhere in the room. And I will just introduce those who are up here, and then we'll explain how the evening works. As I said, I'm Councillor Eddie Lavery, and I am hearing tonight's petition, and ultimately will make the final decision. On my right is Richard Webb, the Director of Community Safety and Enforcement. Ryan Dell, the Democratic Services Officer, is our clerk, and Naveed Ali is witnessing what goes on, I take it. Lovely, thank you. That is us. The way this works is that the petitioner has 5 minutes to talk and explain why you've made your request and what you would like. I will then ask any questions of clarification that I need. The ward councillor present also has an opportunity to add any comments that they wish to add. And what I would ask is if you would helpfully sat yourselves at the table, which is good. If you could stay there, because now that these are online, we do require everything to be captured by the microphone to ensure that anyone following it can actually understand what's going on. So this is a e-petition received installation of CCTV cameras at the junction of the Rise, Devon Way and Dorset Way in Hillingdon West Ward. There was a report issued for the petition hearing on the 22nd of January 2025. I will take that as the basis for tonight. That report has a number of recommendations in it, and it is, once we finish tonight, down to me to decide either to accept those recommendations as proposed by officers, or to vary those recommendations or add additional recommendations depending on whatever comes out. So that's enough from me. If I could ask the lead petitioner, please, to explain the background and anything else you feel we need to know.
Right. Well, I've lived on the Rise for 30 plus years, as many of my neighbours are more and similar. We have watched our streets that have become more dangerous, and the area has gone downhill. I've been burgled twice. I've also had rocks thrown through my window on 2 separate occasions. I'm 82 years of age and I live alone, a truly terrifying situation. Stolen cars, stolen goods in the blind spot of Dorset Way, 2 doors away from me, has become a regular problem, with us reporting car number plates and tools on so many occasions. There has also been a drug problem where cars arrive in broad daylight and exchange these items openly for all to see. We know the big obvious CCTV presence will deter people and reduce crime in our area. Do you know that every single one of my neighbours have signed the petition? Not most, or 90%, but everyone has signed, every house has signed. That is the basis of what I wanted to say.
Anything else you wish to add? Because you're well within your time.
Well, I've covered it all briefly. I mean, having my window broken on 2 separate occasions, I can't explain the terrifying nature of that. My the two occasions that my house was burgled, they'd come from Dorset Way, across Dorset Way and into my house.
Mm-hmm.
On October of last year, my neighbour right next door was burgled in exactly the same position. So these incidents have all happened in Dorset Way.
Okay.
And I think this is, plus the stolen goods have been left there, everything has been reported on many, many occasions. And nothing seems to be done about it. There's number plates left there, there's tools left there. The drug situation is just dreadful. And, I mean, me personally, the big things have obviously been the burglaries, and to have my window completely broken on two separate occasions is just too frightening to talk about.
No, I understand. Okay.
The stone that they threw through the window went right through both rooms through to the kitchen.
Ooh.
You know, it's just terrifying. It's been suggested that it was possibly to put on social media, this is why people do this, but I just, it's beyond thinking about, really.
Okay.
And that's really why I think it is so important.
Okay.
And I think the fact that all the neighbours have signed it all, we've come together.
So that's in the Rise, is it, all the neighbours?
The neighbours in the Rise, the neighbours in Dorset, Devon and the Crossway. So I didn't go the whole length of the Rise. I just went with the roads from the top of the Rise down to the Crossway, and the three roads off that, because they are the main roads. I could have carried on down, but at that point I had quite a lot of signatures. And it was a very big ordeal to do it all.
I'm sure. When these burglaries and instance the window, when did they occur? Which year?
20. Have you got the details of this? I was hoping that I haven't got the date.
It's last year, but it happened last year. The
It's
window
the last.
It's 2024.
Yes.
Right.
That was how we met.
Yes, it was.
That's fine. I'm just making sure I've got the situations clear in my head. Okay.
And the burglary was the January of the previous year, and the year before it was earlier on. I haven't got those details.
So the burglaries in 2023, were they?
No, one was in 23, one was in 24.
23 and 1 24.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just... Because part of the test we have to look at...
Sorry, I should have had the exact
dates. No. Exact dates are not entirely relevant. It's just determining approximately when they occurred, because we do have to look at up-to-date data whenever we do any of these things, and it just helps me to understand that. Okay. Councillor Bennett, do you want to add anything as a ward councillor, if you would?
Yes, if that's okay. So, firstly, to say well done to Sheila, because she did a fantastic job of going around so many houses and getting so many people to sign the petition. And I suppose for me, we have quarterly ward panel meetings with the Safer Neighbourhood team for the Met Police, and we have got an ever-growing attendance. The large majority of people who come live in this area of Vine Lane, the Crossway, Devon and Dorset Way, and the Rise. And the reason why they come is because of how much this is becoming a bit of a hotspot now for various types of crime. And I guess the statistics tell you one side of the story, but as we know, everybody's lives are very busy. An awful lot of crime takes place and doesn't get reported because people just don't think, or they don't have the time to go on the website. A lot of drug dealing, the horrific ordeal that Sheila's been through, to have bricks thrown for your window, not once, happens once, terrifies you when you live alone. You then get your windows repaired at some considerable cost, and then it happens again. In addition to burglaries, the crime statistics that were shared in December at our most recent ward panel, all of the crimes were on the rise. 3 vehicle thefts. We've got an abandoned property on Devon Way. We've got an HMO that's caused an awful lot of issues. And also nearby, you've got a secondary school in Bishopshall. You've got a parade of shops with alleyways behind where there's always antisocial behaviour. There's a public house that causes a lot of problems. So all in all, I guess the point of the petition process is to try and draw attention to us as councillors and officers that, look, the statistics tell you one story, but we live here and we go through this every single day, and we believe this is a problem that we need to keep our eye on. And it may be that no action is possible right away based on the recommendation in the report, but, you know, things that I would like potentially to be considered is, you know, could we review this again in 3 to 6 months if we have a concerted effort? If the requirement is that you have to have all these crimes reported, that we say, right, in the next 3 to 6 months, we instruct as many neighbours and residents as possible to report crimes, and we review it again. If budget is an issue, then we'd be happy to consider funding it off of our ward budget that we have. If there's a camera somewhere else in the borough that we can move. Similarly, is the street lighting provision in the area right enough? When was the last time we kind of audited that? Would more street lighting help if cameras weren't a possibility? So I suppose there's lots of options to consider, even if at the most extreme CCTV can't be considered. But I was surprised that 59 signatories for CCTV really shows the support of local people here. I remember telling Sheila that, you know, actually people maybe wouldn't be as supportive, but she proved us wrong.
Thank you for that. Just in terms of the location question, I just want to clarify this, because Richard, CCTV cameras can normally only point one way. Do we have the ability to move them round? Or they generally point in one direction, don't they, at the time?
Well, there's different cameras, so that we can have cameras which are pan-tilt zoom, so they can cover different directions. The different options, different costs.
Okay, thank you for that. Okay. One of the facts with CCTV cameras, we have to be shown to be proportionate, and we have to be shown we have the evidence when we introduce them. The report is indicating that in a number of the roads, the threshold test is either not met or struggling to be met, which doesn't quite fit with the picture that I'm getting here tonight. And also we can only look at, we normally have to look at the last year and not much else, because that's assumed, because obviously things do change over time. But it does appear that there is some issue developing in this corner of the borough. I do accept that people don't always report stuff. Unfortunately, it doesn't help us when we're assessing cases. And in this case, looking at several of these roads, very little appears to have been reported. And equally, disappointingly, there was little feedback to our officers when they went out, which didn't really help us very much, because we got very little back from them. What I'm going to do is, I want to do a number of things with this, if I may. One of the things I'm going to do is defer a decision tonight on the basis that there is more information that I want to gather before we make a final ruling. Because the information before us would suggest that the ruling I should make is that we don't, because we're struggling to meet the threshold tests. But I do want to explore further what is going on in this part of the world, and what other interventions we can look at, and whether there is more evidence that actually there is more going on than is being reported, because that certainly appears to be the message I'm getting. I also think that we will need to have a conversation with the SNC team and the police to have a discussion about crime patterns in the West Ward, but I will focus their discussion in a very particular part of Hillingdon West Ward, if I might. To understand exactly what they're seeing, what they're investigating, what they're going on, do they think there are particular individuals behind this? Because we do need to get to the bottom of why, if I might. So what I will do, for tonight, I will defer, and I'm going to ask my officers to gather further information, because particularly on the data, and also from the police in terms of their data and maybe their intelligence that they might not be prepared to share in an open report, but they might be prepared to share with us more privately. as to things we can do to assist. And once I've done that, I will then ask officers to write to the petitioner with a decision, and we may well take the option as well of reserving the right to come back to this without a further petition. That's something we can do. We normally try and resolve them one way or the other, but it appears on this one as if we don't have as much information as I would like, and it may be the additional information actually does support the request more strongly than the information that's before me tonight. So on that basis, I will defer. I'll ask my officers to gather some further information. We will then write with a update and decision as to where we are now, and then consider what we should do further. Is that okay? Does that make sense from everyone's perspective? Good. Well, thank you for your time. Thank you for coming. Thank you for explaining all that to me. And with that, I will close the hearing and cut the feed.